Tonight, we arrive at the virtual Williams Grove Speedway to continue the second half of this season. In the past two races at this track, Bobby Rafferty was victorious in one of those two. Can he get the win tonight? We'll find out as the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series has their 7th race of tonight's 5th season. And you'll be able to watch it all right here on the Global SimRacing channel. I'm Gary Weaver, and alongside me is co-commentator DJ Clark. Sean Ambrose is in the director's booth, and he's using cameras provided to us by Dougie Beard. For tonight, we took our own Dirt Street Stock test car out on the track with this half mile, so we'll see how it handled with these tight corners over on our GSRC lap guide.
Home of the Pennsylvania Posse, Williams Grove has been a force on many a Dirt Series calendar since the 1940s. This half-mile clay oval has hosted so many of the legendary dirt crowd, it's probably easier to find out who hasn't ran here. While the turns may be lightly banked, they are wide, allowing a good run onto the long straights. From World of Outlaws sprints that can hit 160 miles an hour on those straights to late models doing close to 100 to 120. Just watch out for the old Armco barriers that have brakes in them that can ruin your day quickly. Williams Grove will many times host 2 nights of racing during the summer weeks. Several classes of sprint cars, late models, street stocks, Silver Crown midgets, and modifieds will scream around here with those drivers looking for that chance to move up to the big leagues. And they have that chance to be seen in front of them as the World of Outlaws, late models, and sprint cars make stops here. Dirt car, late models, and USAC all come around. Williams Grove can be a gateway to a career for an aspiring dirt competitor. Welcome to Williams Grove, Pennsylvania.
And that is a look at our GSRC lap guide here for what's like to handle Williams Grove Speedway. And of course, with a little bit more details, is DJ Clark.
Hey, Gary, as you said, this is Williams Grove, one of the fiercest stretches of dirt that these guys will face here in the BRL Street Stock Series this season. It is a half mile, but this half mile is unlike a lot of the others. Long straightaways, tight corners means in these heavy dirt street stock cars, you really got to be using that left pedal, that brake pedal a lot more to try to get the car rotated. The fastest way around here, I think, is going to be the relative low line, as we see guys starting to work their way around here early. It may be a bit of a slider line, starting in nice and low and letting the car drift up the track. But as we saw last week, we'll have to see what this track develops into to see what becomes the preferred line as the race goes along.
And with that, well, we are going to go over to our race details with the preferred lines in mind. Tonight's going to be round 7 of 11 in the Dirt Street Stock, 30 laps here tonight. And, well, that heat race format, by the looks of it, it should be about 4 heat races for tonight. 24 cars make the feature, and 24 cars are here tonight. So it looks like everyone is just about to be able to make it in. And all drivers will be utilizing that same setup. And it all comes down once again to that driver skill. And, well, DJ, you have the championship standings where that driver skill is very much come in handy, just visualizing that championship standings.
It certainly has, and that skill obviously rising to the top with Bobby Rafferty. 4 wins on the year with 454 points leading away with this. Behind him is Mr. Consistency, John Hine. No wins on the year, but has been on the podium more than any other driver. Behind him, picking up his first one of the year, Steven Spies. Really good run there from him last week out. He's going to be hoping to keep that momentum going. Behind him, J.R. Shepard and Kenny Kibbe working their way up into the top 5.
And that's going to be something to very much keep in mind, as last week, well, it didn't really go too well at Fairbury for either Bobby Rafferty or John Hine, as both were caught up in accidents, but luckily they did manage to make it through to the end of the race. So really the net gain is going to John Hine by +3 points. But of course, before we continue on to get into the rest of tonight's events, well, before you even get into the heat races, I should say, well, those are brought to you by Jim Beaver eSports, and they are the official eSports team of Jim Beaver, as well as the General Tire Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris Razor. You can follow the team at GymBeaverEsports.com or over on Facebook, Twitter, and even Instagram to keep up with their drivers in iRacing World Championships, private leagues, and so much more. And of course, as always, the next sponsor is a longtime sponsor, the Cruise Shop, which has been in operation since 1986. They're a team of highly experienced travel agents, and they have a huge passion for travel. They specialize in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney and family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They would love the opportunity to help you plan your next vacation, and you can give them a call today at 260-755-6125, or you can visit thecruiseshopfw.com. And just remember that the Cruise Shop is dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams, one destination at a time. In less than 10 minutes here in warm-up as the drivers make their rounds. And DJ, you mentioned that preferred lane, and everyone, as accustomed to the at least starting portions of Williams Grove, everyone's utilizing either the inside, the very inside, or the very outside lanes. And judging by how much dirt is left over in the middle, no one's really wanting to test that out yet.
No, not really quite yet. That may come in as we see the cushion move up the track a little bit, but as we ride on board with John Wilson here, he's going to dive down to that middle-ish line, the middle-ish that we have right there. You can see the dirt kicking out. It's not going to get the car to turn all the way around here. It's one of the difficulties of Williams Grove. Yes, these corners are incredibly tight, but they're also longer than you'd expect them to be. So keeping that rotation, that slide all the way through the corner to maximize power on corner exit, it's really, really tricky.
Not only maximizing power, but also maximizing speed, as Hein was about 96 miles an hour on entry to that corner, and just about in the middle of the corner, about 55 miles an hour. On the outside was the 07 of Chris Davis. And we're going to be seeing, I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing, of course, a lot of side-by-side action. And, well, unfortunately, demonstrating how the inside lane doesn't always work on corner exit is Bobby Rafferty, who is, well, running against Brennan Myers, who's up on the top side. So when it comes to defending the position, that outside lane may or may not be the best lane, but so far it's proving very successful for that 25.
Yeah, Myers doing a good job of keeping that momentum up, but there you see Rafferty throwing a nice slide job on him. Myers going to try to go for that crossover. Oh, great camera angle there from Dougie Beard. You can just see Myers hunting his way down. Myers is going to go to the inside a little bit there, but it's not going to work out for him, as that spot is going to go to Bobby Rafferty here as they work their way down the backstretch under that world-famous bridge of fame and song and story here at Williams Grove.
They continue to run their lines. Myers sitting third, interestingly enough, in the timing charts here for the practice session. Chris Davis sitting in second. All three drivers separated by just about 2/10, and Steven Spies actually, I believe, just recently put a lap in. I'm not entirely sure as of yet. We'll be double checking that to make sure. By the looks of it, that has been there, and I only just noticed it. But he's so close to Brennan Myers' time that it had to go to the fourth digit to settle Steven Spies into fourth place. So DJ, I feel like we could be seeing Brennan and Spies battling it out on track.
We certainly could, but we'll have to see what ends up breaking down in the heat races and seeing if that can maybe affect their qualifying position a little bit. But really interesting to see these guys just trying out the lines here. And there you see Kenny Kibbe working his way down through the corner. He's going to throw it down, kind of diamonding it off a little bit there, letting it run tight at the middle, and then letting the slide job line take over, go a little bit wide. He's going to get all kinds of squirrely off the straight, though. Kibbe currently sitting fifth. He's running some pretty respectable times, and I think Kibbe's going to be pleased with that.
Yeah, I've seen Kibbe slowly start to, work his way back up in the field, about top 10, moving his way up to the top 5, but he's definitely not someone to count out. He's also incredibly consistent, been sitting around the top 5 throughout the entire season. And, well, someone who's been known to sit up top at the standings, of course, is Rafferty, who decides to take a little bit of a tow and try to get another run in. Brennan Myers, of course, another driver who's gotten his skill known very much as well. He's going to be trying to better his lap time within these final 5.5 minutes.
He's going to be trying, but I have to say we're seeing this sort of tendency that we've seen happen in these practice sessions time and time again, where drivers are just finding it incredibly difficult to get a fast time once this track has worn in a little bit. So we ride on board here with Joe Segala. He's going to try to run a little bit of a higher line. Looks like he got his rear tires a little too far into that gray. That's going to cause some wheel spin, cost him on speed through the corner and power off the line. See if he can get it a little bit lower here. Not so lucky. He's going to get all 4 tires there up into that gray. You can see that super rubbered in portion of the track really starting to come into play. Drivers getting absolutely no grip there on the entry of the corners.
There's a driver directly behind him. That is Chris Davis, who is on the looking to the inside of him right now, who went about 51 miles per hour through turns 1 and 2 that time. Segala was, in terms of speed, a bit faster. In terms of preferred line, not entirely so much. So having to wear in that part of the track, and Segala demonstrating in, at least in luckily practice setting, that slower speeds up on the outside lane don't really help too much, because he's going about 52 miles per hour down there in turns 1 and 2 compared to Chris Davis, who's actually went down to 48 miles an hour and then powered it off the corner in turn number 2. So a little bit of different techniques going on here.
Certainly, and it's one of the things that Williams Grove can really highlight. You know, normally when you think about running on a dirt track, you think about running the high line, and that's going to carry your momentum. You've got more speed. You can be on the throttle more as you go throughout the corner. Running low, it's the faster way around the corner, but your revs are going to be a little bit lower. You've got to get a better bite off the line. But just the way Williams Grove drives is that sometimes when you get up on the high side, there's not a lot of banking here, that you really do have to sort of roll that throttle a little bit to be able to keep everything nice and together.
And that's going to be a key thing, keeping everything under control and everything together. And, well, we'll see how that plays out. A little bit later on in tonight's event, and specifically 3 minutes for qualifying, but even in about 8 minutes when it comes down to the first of 4 heat races.
Yeah, and those heat races are going to be very interesting. You know, we're working on a relatively small field tonight, only about 16 entrants right now. We'll have to see if anybody else pops in to populate this series, but I think what that's going to do is that's really going to compress the field and compress the action. There's going to be a lot more squabbling over single positions. Some of these guys that are normally down in the field, they're going to see those higher numbers and they're going to want to go for something big.
And wanting to go for something big is absolutely incredibly important. And I do remember, now that you mentioned the 16 drivers, I somehow mistakenly said 24. So 24 drivers being in the race. I was very much incorrect. So thanks, DJ, for that correction. So 3 heat races, of course, coming into tonight. 6 laps each. Top 3 go to the feature. The rest go to the B main to figure out where they will be sorted out into the feature event. All throughout this night, though, will be that wearing track state, and that's going to be a thing for drivers to remember. Drivers in Heat 1 will not be driving on the same, well, drivers in Heat 3, rather, will definitely not be driving on the same surface that drivers had raced on in Heat 1.
No, they won't, and you can see it here as we go on board with Chris Davis, just that rubbered in line, the lack of grip that it creates. You know, it's going to force guys lower and lower on the track. There you can see it. He's doing the perfect example of that, trying to get those front tires down into that wet part of the track to grab a little bit of grip, but not really happening for him. He slid up his way through the corner. Here he's going to try it again. Not going to happen. He's really got a counter steer there. You can just see visually how much speed he lost coming through that corner, running over the rubbered in section.
It was, unfortunately, by the looks of it, a very slow corner. So Davis might be trying to just figure out what is working, what isn't working. And right now, I'm pretty sure he's thinking, I know this can work at some point. It just depends on the track state. And I do not blame Chris Davis at all. And a great shot from the onboard as well is that I remember when I last drove here, it was it was something when you try to aim that nose for that inside wall right there, and then you have to try and keep it down right next to the tires and just let it stick there. But Davis doing the wise thing and leaving about a lane to a lane and a half higher up so he doesn't come into contact with anything.
Yeah, it's a very smart call. Woo, really aggressive turn in there through 3 and 4 for Davis, and he's going to nail that. That is a gorgeous run through those corners, so kudos to Chris Davis. That is exactly how you want to run the load line. Let's see if he can do it here through 1 and 2.
Looks like he might be trying a alternative lines and corners, which I do not blame him in at all. That's usually, sometimes at least, I should say, not usually. It's sometimes the best case. And right there, even from here, it just looks so close to the inside wall. Turn 4, right here, you see, you have to aim the left front of your nose right for the inside wall just to carry speed off that corner.
That's exactly right. And here, as we wrap up this practice session, getting ready to be able to light things up here tonight at Williams Grove. Always good action at this track. It's going to be a fun night of racing.
I'm wondering, much like last week, as we go into our qualifying session, we'll see where everyone sorts out here momentarily and who will be the first to go out on track. Looks to be the 7 of Bobby Rafferty, as well as Aiden Young and Daniel Avant being the first 3 or so drivers. Much like Fairbury last week, we started at sunset and really finished before the lights came on. And right as I say that, I noticed that the lights have come on around here. So this is definitely a little bit of a race against time, but we should be able to complete the race just as the sun is possibly about either halfway set or is completely set.
That's right. You know, as it'll be interesting to see what the cooler track temperatures as it does turn into night does for it. As we see here, Rafferty coming down the backstretch, he's going to throw that corner in. Rafferty clearly thinking that that low line is the way to go. He's going to keep it down there the entire time. Little check up there through the corner, just has to catch it. Comes back onto the straight here. That's going to be a 25.347 for Rafferty the first time on the boards.
Now, these drivers do have 4 laps available to them, so if they mess up 1 lap, 2 lap, or even 3 laps, hopefully that won't be the case. Well, they do have multiple attempts to try and get that best lap, so a lot of time available to these drivers within these 5 minutes, and we'll see if Rafferty is going to be able to better that lap time, and he is by only about 0.003 of a second. Bobby Rafferty is able to better that lap time. So for the first time, I believe, this season, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the first time this season that we've seen someone beat their fast lap, which was their first lap.
I think you may be right on that, Gary. You know, the normal trend we see is you go out and do your first lap, that's the quickest, and then pull it back around. Watching here, Justin Morton currently sitting in 4th with a 25.462. He's choosing to run that high line through there. You know, he may be setting himself up for a 3rd lap here, not able to improve. Yes, he dives down to the low line. That's an interesting strategy, as now Aiden Young works his way down, not able to get those left front tire down onto that wet part of the track early in the corner, able to catch it around the end. He's going to come across the line at a 25.562, just fractions of a second slower than his best lap time.
Only 0.04 seconds doesn't seem like much, but it very much is. Much like, well, motorsports in general, as Kibbe will start his first lap run. Well, thousandths of a second matter, as demonstrated by the 7 of Bobby Rafferty, and well, tenths of a second also matter, considering that he just beat his lap time as well in qualifying. So that's going to be 0.03 of a second faster, by just about at least, for that number 7 machine. He'll pull it off the track. We'll take a look and see if anyone else can even challenge his lead. Kibbe actually able to get within about 0.06 of a second.
That's a really great lap there from Kenny Kibbe, but outside of those two, you know, I think the rest of this field is starting to sweat a little bit. This is Brendan Proudfoot. He now goes to the top of the list with a 25.263.
Teammates on provisional front row at the moment. We'll see if anyone else again will be able to better their times. Proudfoot, though, with a great lap time. It's been a while since we've seen him up here in the front row. Last time was pretty much since at Eldora, and actually I believe last week at Fairbury as well. But great job from Brendan Proudfoot, 0.02 of a second slower that time by, I believe. So again, just barely able to equal that. Kibbe a bit faster by about 0.03 of a second, but it won't be much to beat Rafferty's time.
If you remember last week, Brendan Proudfoot saying that he was out for a couple weeks because he was running some real dirt models. That clearly coming into effect here at Williams Grove. J.R. Shepard there, unable to improve his time. He's currently 5th. Here comes Steven Spies. He's not having the best run here. He's currently 9th. Going to work that high line coming off of turn 4. Maybe he can find a few tenths here and there from it. That is remarkably close and an eye twister. They're unable to improve by about 200ths of a second.
I had to do a double check there. I looked again and I stared at that thinking, okay, I'm reading this right? So I swapped time, unfortunately, but at least able to complete that lap. Just taking a look at Steven Speeds once again, taking the high line on exit. Last lap was a 25.695. That time by looks to be Steven Speeds just taking some practice laps around, and I don't blame him with this track state right now. Same with Brendan Proudfoot.
No, I think that's a good call. You know, the more you can start to understand about this track, what it's doing, where it's doing it, it will help you when we get into these heat races, which, Gary, are about to start.
That is correct. It will be up next, well, coming up in just a few moments. It's going to be heat race number 1 of 3. And well, it's going to be 6 cars per heat race. It's out from heat race number 3 by the looks of it. In fact, we'll take a look at that later on. Brendan Proudfoot, Chris Davis starting off on the front row. Bobby Hayes will start in that 3rd place position. John Hines starts 4th, Aiden Young 5th, and Joe Segala will be in that 6th place position. And DJ, something I noticed in qualifying, Joe Segala unfortunately was 5/10 off the leader's time, so Segala unfortunately struggling here for tonight.
Yeah, Joe Segala is struggling a little bit, as well as John Hine, Mr. Consistent throughout this series. You know, I was watching him during warm-up, just didn't seem to have the right setup, power. I'm not sure what's going on, but he's well off his normal, sort of top 4 pace that we see. He getting a little chippy there coming up behind Chris Davis. So I think he'll be one to watch to see how he is able to do as we get ready. The pace truck here taking off at Williams Grove.
The field will pace under the pace truck. I believe, if you recall correctly, this should be about 2 pace laps, but we'll see what the pace truck decides to do this time by. Some dirt trucks, I believe it's only 1 pace lap, so again, all depends, but regardless, that still will leave Brendan Proudfoot in control of the field. Chris Davis starting on the outside. And most notably, we saw Davis and Myers running side by side, and the preferred lane for Davis looked to be that inside lane.
It did, so we'll have to see if any of these guys who are running a lot of that high side during practice, if that's going to come into play, especially as more and more cars go down to that low line. It'll be very interesting to see what that effect has, and just to see where this track rubbers in, period. That's going to dictate what's fast, and whoever can adapt to that the quickest, they will be the ones to be able to get to the front of the field.
Drivers that will definitely need to adapt are those in Heat Race 2, Heat Race 3, as well as the B main event. Because the drivers in the B main event, well, they have been racing, or they will have raced, I should say, on the wearing track surface, albeit in some stages. So if you're in Heat Race number 3, well, you're kind of lucky because you're running on basically that exact same track that you just run on just a couple minutes before. Pace truck will pull off into pit road and leave the field in control of Brendan Proudfoot. Getting a little bit eager on the outside is the 07 of Davis, but the 22 of Proudfoot puts his foot on the throttle, and he is down and away just like that as they all slide themselves into turn number 1 and 2. And just like that, it's already the front 2 breaking away, and side by side between Hayes and Hine on the back straightaway.
John Hine looked like he had a really good start there off the line, but able to lose back a little bit as now Chris Davis looks like he's going to start to challenge for the lead. Hine slides out to that high line. Davis going on the slide line, trying to get anything. Hine now firmly planted in 3rd place. As you see, that's Aiden Young trying to make a move to the inside of Bobby Hayes. Drivers
in the top 3 will immediately go to the feature event. Those in the bottom 3 will be going into the B main just to figure out where they will be starting in the feature event. As Hine looks up to the outside lane, and so does Bobby Hayes directly behind him. So both of these cars are going to be looking to try and close that gap to the 07 of Davis.
You know, it looks like they're starting to get a little bit there goes Bobby Hayes getting way up into the gray. That's going to open the line up to Aiden Young. They're now going to go side by side down the backstretch.
This is going to be an advantage for Aiden Young in terms of the inside lane because Bobby Hayes looks to be struggling, unfortunately, although I do applaud him trying to get that speed as much as possible, trying to wear that in, seeing how that outside track state will look, and he'll retain that 4th place position.
He will, but there again, gets a little too deep into the corner, costs him a little bit of momentum. That's going to be advantage Young as they now head down to 3 and 4. But it looks like Bobby Hayes is a little bit more confident, a little bit better through 3 and 4. As you see there in front of you, kind of everybody's starting to jump up to that high line.
And just like that, we are already at 2 laps to go. The only drivers really that didn't want to go up to the top side, well, possibly Aiden Young for sure that time, as he almost overshot the corner in a sense, slid his way up and barely made a little bit of contact with Bobby Hayes. These two going to be continuously battling side by side just to get an advantage really to where they will start in that B main event as the white flag flies already. 1 lap to go for Brendan Proudfoot and Chris Davis.
That's right. John Hine also able to move up there a little bit to get it, as it looks like now that you see here coming under that bridge, Brandon Proudfoot. 2 corners to go here to take a victory in this first heat race.
Glides up the racetrack in turns 3 and 4, but still powers it off, and he will immediately advance into the feature event. Brandon Proudfoot first. Second place is going to be Chris Davis and John Hine third. Aiden Young is fourth. Bobby Hayes was fifth, and Joe Segala has finished in 6th.
You know, good run there from Segala. Actually, we were talking about how off the pace he seemed to be there in qualifying, able to keep up to the back of everybody pretty well. But now we're going to line up here for this second heat race. This is going to be Bobby Rafferty and J.R. Shepard lining up 1 and 2. Behind them, Justin Morton, and that is Robbie Robinson, followed by John Wilson there, lining up P5.
This and heat race number 3 will also be contested of 5 drivers. So that one extra in heat race number 1, in this case Joe Segala, not exactly gets a break, but at the same time, well, he does get a break because we do have, again, 16 cars. Everyone makes to the feature, and at this point it's just to figure out who will get sorted where. Pace truck will go around the track one more time, and, well, going off of the last heat race, Bobby Rafferty, I wouldn't be surprised if he pretty much replicated that same performance that Brendan Proudfoot has.
I think that's a pretty decent call to make there, Gary. He wants to get a good jump off the line. He'll stick it low, try to wait until that nice wet part of the track comes in, get some good grip under his tires, really floor it, and see if he can get up and ahead of the rest of the field, and then probably start to run that high line to just defend his lead.
That's going to be something to keep an eye on. Which drivers will be willing to try and work the top side? Last time it was Bobby Hayes and, well, partially Chris Davis at some points, possibly, but definitely Bobby Hayes, the main driver that did not want to leave that middle to high lane as compared to everyone else, mostly running that inside lane. This is all over the course of 6 laps. And on the track has these 5 cars now start to make their way around. The track gets more and more worn in lap after lap. I'm pretty sure someone who's definitely not going to be worn after this is Bobby Rafferty, as he takes the field down and away, leads them into turns 1 and 2. J.R. Shepard, the first driver to go up to the top side, only because Justin Morton tries to make a move on the inside as they drag race down the back straightaway.
Shepard there getting a little squiggly coming off of the corner. That cost him a little bit of time. Let Morton be able to take the advantage through there. Morton now trying to run a little bit of a slide line for Shepard up into the wall, but that's not going to be enough, as now he and Shepard are going to drag race down the front stretch. Slide out there. Morton really making that low slide work. He's going to slide up the track. Oh, so lucky he didn't come together with J.R. Shepard there.
Both Robinson and Wilson sitting behind these two if anything does happen. And Robinson will send it into the corner. Doesn't make it stick enough, unfortunately. And he'll make a bit of contact with Wilson just behind, but they managed to keep it under control as we ride on board with Shepard, trying to see his point of view and just looking at how much he has to work that wheel on the outside lane and trying to defend that position from Justin Morton. These two drivers will still be making it into the feature regardless. This is more bragging rights for second place.
It is. They'll get a little bit of a preferred starting position if they're able to come in second in this heat for the A main. But right now it looks like it is advantage J.R. Shepard, just able to really push that high line to perfection. It looks like Morton rather, just getting a little bit squirrely, not getting his tires planted exactly where he needs to do. And now that momentum from Shepard really going to carry him down the backstretch. Morton going to try to dive it in down the inside, get that left front tire down onto that non-rubbered in section. But here comes Shepard again, that momentum on the high line carrying him ahead. He's got a full cars ahead, and now Morton's going to slide in directly behind him. Oh, and they're going to go on opposite lines here.
A quick lane swap with 1.5 laps to go, and throughout all of this, Bobby Rafferty, there he is. He's just been charging away throughout this entire time. Everyone else, well, we can pretty much say that the transfer position is up for grabs, as well as the best starting spot. So Rafferty takes the white flag, and as does everyone else. Look out for the 56 and the 9 to go side by side, possibly in the final corner. Robinson was not afraid to send it into the corner last time, although with that run off turn 2, he may not be able to get it. Bobby Rafferty will take that high line and cruise his way to a feature event and a first place heat win. Rafferty finishes in first place. J.R. Shepard second. Third place, Justin Morton, Robbie Robinson, and John Wilson will be going into the B main.
Well, Gary, you saw it there again, what can happen with these changing lines, and you called it perfectly, though. Bobby Rafferty sticking low for that first lap and then jumping out to that high side and getting to an advantage. So that looks like it's the way to go here as we go into this third heat race.
Third and final heat race as well. Another 5 drivers, and this will be led by the 14 of Kenny Kibbe. The 90 of Daniel Vaught will start off in second place. Watch out for that 55 of Steven Spies in third place. Brennan Myers will start fourth. In fifth place is going to be Austin Belke.
I think this is going to be one of the more interesting races to really watch throughout the course of the night. Speed's starting in third. He's going to really want to try to push his advantage up there. Also for Daniel Vaught, we're not used to seeing him on the front row of a heat race, so amazing effort put in here for Vaught. Really interested to see what he's going to do. And now that we have the first non-teammate starting on pole for a heat race in Kenny Kibbe, it'll be interesting to see what he is able to do if he's been able to watch Proudfoot and Rafferty and sort of get their timing to perfection.
And that's going to be, again, something of note, is that Kibbe hopefully was watching the lines that those two were running. Again, that will provide very useful information just visually, just to see where they're running, see what everyone else is doing, and then try and go off of that. As the sun has continued to set over tonight's event, and I've been proven completely wrong in terms of when this race was actually going to be ending. So we're beginning at this point with the sunset and definitely going into the night, ending under the lights. And you did mention earlier, DJ, that track temperature. Well, throughout these entire 3 heat races, it's been a very solid 80 degrees Fahrenheit in air temperature, and still just a stagnant 69 degrees track temperature, and well, nothing major of note after that. So if the track will stay that same temperature as the pace truck pulls off. These drivers do have a 5-minute warm-up after this third heat race, so we'll see if anything does change then. As KB will lead the field to the green flag off turn number 4. Stomps on the gas, and he'll try and get as much of an advantage as possible. Clears Daniel Vaught, and he'll stay right, actually move right up to the outside lane, but not as much as Daniel Vaught. They make it 3 wide in turn 2.
Vaught looked like he got a really good run, but got caught up into the gray, and that is Steven Spies up his inside. Now as Vaught's going to go down, he touches with Kibbe, and then Myers gets into the back of Vaught. Looks like a little bit of more contact in the back. Vaught's going to catch out Belke, and that is Vaught from second to fifth there in a matter of seconds, but jumping up to the front, Kenny Kibbe and Steven Spies going side by side into one.
Spies had snuck his way through onto that inside lane, much as he did right on the opening lap. Although on the outside lane, the advantage in speed goes to Kibbe. Spies, again, I did say watch out for him. And, well, not exactly what I was envisioning, but Spies challenging on that inside lane, trying to power off, slide up the racetrack. But he is going to be dead even almost at the start-finish line with that 14 of Kibbe.
Yeah, watching him come off at turn 2 that last time, it looked like the Kibbe was able to get a little bit more momentum off the exit of the corner, but once they got into the corner, they were perfectly even on speed. They're going to be perfectly side by side here, diving into turn 3. Though it looks like, I think Spees had to check up very slightly. That may end up helping him a little bit. No, Kibbe's able to fight back now. Advantage Kibbe as they cross the start-finish line with 4 to go.
Past 2 laps, the advantage went to Kenny Kibbe by half a car length and then nearly a full car length. Also, you see that fast lap popping up. He's been setting that on the outside lane, so that definitely says something about Kibbe's speed. He's definitely been watching the first 2 heat races, and he is making that car absolutely work. But Spees not letting that go down without a fight, although this time by off turn number 4, there is Kibbe after about 3 laps of side-by-side drag racing will clear Steven Spees, at least on the front straightaway. Spees trying to attack back now with 1.5 laps to go.
Spees able to get a very good run there off at 2. He's going to dive it back into 3, forcing Kibbe up the track. Kibbe just continuing to run that high line. Spees running low. Ooh, a little bit of a slider there for Spees. He's not going to have the momentum to take it. Kibbe's going to cross the line to take the white flag.
I'll see how they will come across the start-finish line just 1 lap from now, as well, Steven Spees is going to have to use everything he can, although he does get a disadvantage off turn number 2, has to slow up, and that might be the calling card. That might be it. He tries to look to the inside one more time off turn number 4 as Kibbe defends from the middle lane. Great job to both these drivers. Kenny Kibbe first, second place Steven Spees, and Brendan Myers in third, with Belke and Vaught finishing 4th and 5th respectively. What a great drive by those 2.
Really, really good heads-up drive from the both of them, just able to push the limits of the car and the track and not getting too tangly with each other. Big heartbreak there as well from Daniel Vaught, who we will now see in this B main as the cars start to grid up.
Luckily, in this B main, everyone will be able to, again, go to the feature. It's just a matter of figuring out where everyone will be starting outside of the top 10. In the meantime, though, Aiden Young will start off in that first place position. Second place, Robbie Robinson. Austin Belke will be placed 4th. Austin Belke will be placed 3rd, correction. 4th place will be Bobby Hayes.
Wilson's going to be lining up in P5, followed by Daniel Vaught and Joe Segala there to round out your starting grid for this B main race.
Now, that's side-by-side between Kibbe and Spees. I, again, wouldn't be surprised if we saw that going into the feature event. Again, after this B main, it will be a 5-minute warm-up for everybody when the virtual car shows come out. Everyone takes to a fresh new track surface, so it'll be relatively fresher by possibly, I'd say, about lap 10 of the feature event, including the 5 minutes of warm-up compared to the first 10 minutes of practice.
It will be, but, you know, we're going to have this full contingent of 16 cars all out running for it, that whole warm-up. So my guess is the track state's probably going to be about where it was for the second, maybe third heat race. So there's definitely going to be some wear in it. It's not going to be crystal clear, but we'll have to see what it does. I think the guys that were able to run later, and I think especially these guys that are running here in the B main, they're going to have a much better knowledge of what the track does as it goes along. So don't be surprised if you see a few of these drivers starting to poke their way up to the top 5 by the end of the A main.
Especially with the progressing track state, some drivers able to get their cars to stick relatively incredibly well. That being, of course, Kenny Kibbe and Steven Spees. So we'll see if we can, we'll see if they advance up just that little bit more in the second half of the race. But coming into the next few moments and the next 10 laps, it's going to be 7 drivers trying to figure out where they will be starting here in the feature event. Field given control over to the 69 of Aiden Young. Waiting, and he goes a little bit later than most have led already, but he gets a wonderful start, and he gets himself a great little bit of distance between himself and the rest of the field, as everyone else will remain just about side by side. Belke falls back.
Belke falls back there, but a little bobble from Robbie Robinson's going to let him come back into 5th. That's John Wilson there in that purple and white machine. really starting to push Belke, as there you see Robbie Robinson trying to fight back along the outside. He's going to have some good momentum here coming off the line. Don't be surprised if he moves himself. Yep, indeed, as he crosses the line, he's going to be up into third, and now going to be challenging Belke, trying to push him down to the inside. Belke rides up a little bit, but Robinson driving with a passion here. Incredible couple of laps for Robinson.
Great job already. Last lap, he had fallen back off turn number 2, and of course, the moment I stopped saying Belke falls back, he immediately got the advantage. And then Robinson had fallen back up on the outside lane, but now Robinson has that advantage, and of course, that's just how fast things can change here in dirt racing, as Aiden Young will ride up that middle lane, and now Robinson moves up there as well. Belke seems to be struggling a little bit on that inside lane, unfortunately.
He's just sort of losing out inch by inch every lap, as you see there Bobby Hayes in that orange machine really starting to press an advantage over Belke here, looking out in the back of Robbie Robinson's car. Yep, that is full advantage there for Bobby Hayes. Move Belke back to 4th place, now getting challenged by Joe Segala for 4th.
Daniel Vaught got into the wall on the outside of turns 3 and 4. John Wilson gets turned around on the inside into the inside wall as well. No caution. It was so far back to the end of the field. So again, no caution. Everyone keeps going. There's a little bit of contact between the 24 of Belke and John Wilson. Just a little bit of, well, usual dirt racing, unfortunately, and it just happened to turn around at John Wilson. But in the meantime, taking a look back up front, Bobby Hayes, his car is very much enjoying these conditions right now, as he has closed the gap to himself and Robbie Robinson.
He has really thrown that car wherever he wants to. He was riding high for a while, now jumping down to the low side, going to lose a little bit of momentum there to Robinson, but now Hayes is going to try to fight back. Yep, exactly, just as I thought he was going to do. He's going to fight back to the outside, gets a little too far into the gray there. That's going to cost him about a 1/10 of a second, I think, but he is still within striking distance of Robinson in front of him as the leaders come to the line here with 4 to go.
One laps to go at the start-finish line. Aiden Young continues to just ride out that top lane, as does everybody else. And make a note that no one is running the very top lane where it's right against the outside wall. These cars are slow enough just to not be able to need to use those, but depending on how long the feature goes, we might be seeing someone wanting to use the outside lane right up against the outside wall. But I doubt that, considering on how this B main is going so far.
No, I think that, well, as there you see in the background of your screen, Austin Belke taking to that high lane, but losing out a decent amount of time there. I think that high lane there is going to be not really coming into effect. It's going to be where the cushion is on the gray, as you see here now, as they're going to come to the line to get two laps to go. Bobby Hayes really just trying to do absolutely anything he can do to get by Robbie Robinson, but Robinson holding the line well, not giving Hayes anything.
Including these heats, including the heats in total, 6 laps each, plus the 10 laps for this consolation event, as Bobby Hayes looks to the inside lane. Well, by the end of this, it will be 20 laps run on this track, so we might be seeing Bobby Hayes trying to challenge and moving his way up the field about, roughly, 25 to 30 laps throughout the feature event. Can he get that second place position is going to be the question here on this final lap. Aiden Young has taken the white flag, and now Robinson is going to have to be in full defense mode.
And he's going to defend well. He's just pushing Hayes down to that lower line and getting him very, very off-center. But we're going to watch here Aiden Young sliding his car around through 3 and 4 for the last time to take the win here in the B main. It is Aiden Young wins the B main at Williams Grove.
A great job by Aiden Young. Robinson able to defend against Bobby Hayes, who both finished 2nd and 3rd. Segala 4th, Belke 5th, Vaught 6th place, and John Wilson will finish in 7th. So now we go to a 5-minute warm-up, as the 16 cars have all been sorted out. And now with this 5-minute warm-up, we get to see the fun part of the virtual water trucks coming out, as well as the track state being very slowly yet surely worn away.
That's right. Everybody taking their way out here. Looks like those first 2 guys there, that's John Hine and Wilson, coming out and around. They're going to run side by side and have some fun. Is now, this is really, as you mentioned, Gary, this is the time for everybody to just get one more feel of the car before we go a full 40 laps of thunder here to close out the night.
think it's going to be 30 laps for tonight, but regardless, it's going to be thunder regardless, and everyone going to be on edge in these tight corners. And it's again with this being a very unique mile-and-a-half dirt track, the straightaways again so long, and it's an extended Martinsville with a little bit of dirt as well, I'm starting to realize it as right now as everyone starts to make their rounds. It looks of it up on the middle groove as well.
Yeah, I think everybody's just thinking that's going to be the high one as Steven Spies goes to the top of your list there with the 25.546. Bobby Rafferty and Chris Davis hot on his heels, though. J.R. Shepard and John Hine riding out your top five. Everybody looking like the fast times here are going to be in those 25.6, 25.5s as Bobby Rafferty now goes to the top with an astounding 25.5 dead.
Weather has remained relatively the same, still 80 degrees air temperature, still 69 degrees track temperature, and the winds are still indecisive on either going east or northeast at 5 miles an hour, but regardless, it's a very calm wind for tonight's event, and fully under the lights is what we will be. But of course, that doesn't mean the track state or the track temperature won't decrease throughout tonight's event as the sun has pretty much gone. It'll take a while for that to cool down.
Yeah, we could see by about lap 10 or 15 that really starting to get cool. As now Brandon Proudfoot jumps up to your top, putting in a 25.471. Amazing lap there from Proudfoot. So that is the two teammates leading your board. Speeds behind them with Davis and Robinson rounding out your top five. John Hine currently in sixth and J.R. Shepard in seventh.
Right now, still just continuous, just watching everyone as they continue to make their rounds here throughout these next just under 2.5 minutes. Justin Morton running the inside lane, a few drivers running the very outside lane. Interestingly enough, I believe that is indeed, yes, John Hine, who was one of the two drivers, Joe Scala as well. Hine going for a huge slider, just hits the outside wall, so on the bright side, at least he knows what won't entirely work in the feature event if he does need to do that.
And there you see the teammates of Brandon Proudfoot and Bobby Rafferty just getting a little punchy there, getting into each other. I think that's just some good teammate jocularity happening. So, yeah, but as for Hine trying on that super slide line, I think that's going to be an effective thing to do as the race goes along, as we start to lose grip on that middle to low line. Running a slider is going to be very, very effective. Hine obviously going in too hot on that, but that's going to be a good benchmark for him to know where not to put it to.
Especially with that inside wall being so close, and not only the wall, but the tires on the inside lane as well. Now, I myself haven't seen anyone or even collided with the inside tires, luckily, but if someone did, they would have to be incredibly low in those corners and enough to definitely push the car, trying to get as much maximum speed as possible on that inside lane. So, luckily, we haven't seen anyone that do that as of yet, but, well, hopefully that won't be the case going into the future. Knock on wood, of course.
I was just going to tell you to do that if you didn't, Gary. But I think we actually, not to jinx it, but there is a chance we may see it. Guys trying to go down to that super low lane, as you can really see coming through the corners, even just through this 5-minute practice session, what the rubbered-in track is doing. It's forcing that area of grip lower down the track. So as guys really try to fight for that low line, it may force guys close into that danger zone. But currently, as we stand, Proudfoot, Rafferty, Spies, your top three.
And you see that little bit of a lighter line here on the inside lane, much like all dirt tracks. Well, if you can get that line just right, you can place your car just enough, you're going to be, well, A, playing with fire, and B, definitely running that inside lane. But, well, here being at Williams Grove, let's hope that you won't be playing with too much fire as the checkered flag falls here on the warm-up session. We'll be going into your 30-lap feature event here for tonight, and it is going to be definitely a incredibly exciting event, something to look forward to, and fully under the lights here at Williams Grove. Your starting grid will be as follows. Up on the front row, it is teammates Brandon Proudfoot and Bobby Rafferty. Kenny Kibbe will start off in that third place position. Fourth place is Chris Davis. J.R. Shepard will start fifth. 6th place, Steven Spees. 7th place will be John Hine. 8th place, Brennan Myers. 8th place, Justin Morton, correction. 9th place will be Brennan Myers. And rounding out the top 10 is Aiden Young, who finished first in the B main.
Following him up at 11th is going to be Robbie Robinson, followed by Bobby Hayes. Those two continuing their battle from the B main. Joe Segala is going to line up 13th, followed by Austin Belke, Daniel Vaught, and John Wilson there in 16th to round out your field for tonight.
Now, my favorite part before we get underway, and of course before the pace truck pulls off, my favorite part is figuring out how many laps will be run on the track in total. 16 cars across 30 laps individually for all of those 16 cars, hopefully, but give or take, it's going to be 480 laps in total run on this track by the end of the night. And while it doesn't sound like it, it is definitely something to think about, as everyone individually will be running 30 laps. And, well, that's just a very impressive thing that I love to think about here when it comes to dirt racing.
You're not wrong, and you beat me to that math, Gary. You started that, and I was trying to do a quick calculation on it. But the biggest news that's going to be is just that rubbering into the track and the losing of speed across the board. You're going to see guys trying to force themselves lower and force themselves higher to get as much speed as possible. But I got to tell you, it's going to be very difficult to bet against this front row of Brandon Proudfoot and Bobby Rafferty, just looking like they've got something the rest of this field may not.
I'll let you in on a bit of a secret. I did that about 5 minutes ago, so I've had that pulled up for quite some time. But teammates, again, like you mentioned, DJ, starting off on the front row, going to be a very key thing here for both of these drivers. And, well, Brandon Proudfoot hasn't won since Eldora. Can he do that tonight? Can he get another win in the second half of the season? We'll find out over the next 30 laps as Proudfoot goes on the get loud pedal, brings the field to the green flag, and Bobby Rafferty able to actually just stay even with them as they go side by side.
That's the first time we've seen somebody really able to get a good lead, and there goes Rafferty right to the front of the field, making that high line work wonderfully. Proudfoot surprisingly going to keep down on the low line. Davis behind him and Spees kind of going on that middle lane. Is that going to open anybody up? No, it's not. As Proudfoot's going to start back on his teammate a little bit, maybe starting to make that low line work for Brandon Proudfoot.
Those who were paying attention to the left-hand side of the screen where drivers were falling back, that was Aiden Young that hit the outside wall off turn number 2. He was able to keep it going, much like everyone else, albeit a little bit staggered back compared to, of course, the first lap. But right now, Rafferty top-siding that number 7, the 22 Proudfoot on the inside lane. Chris Davis, as well as the entire rest of the field, is looking back in case anything were to happen. This is going to be a great run and a great advantage at the moment, I believe, for Bobby Rafferty compared to John Hine, especially when it comes to points.
Most certainly, Hine currently sitting back there in 7th place behind J.R. Shepard and Steven Spees, just kind of lurking, waiting to see. Don't be afraid. Don't be surprised if he makes a move later on there as you watch Chris Davis. They're currently in 3rd. The two teammates in front of him as Rafferty sets the fastest time of the race with the 25.691. Everybody's starting to span out here just a hair. Shepard and Spees getting real close, though, down the back stretch.
Much like Kenny Kibbe, Bobby Rafferty able to set the fast lap on the outside lane. And there we see everyone, well, unfortunately, right when I saw Kenny Kibbe's name, I see him in the background hit the wall in turns 3 and 4. He's still able to keep it going forward, keep it under control. But again, these things built like tanks, as Proudfoot had got that fast lap on the inside lane this time by. These two are not going to be letting this lead go down without a fight.
No, they're not. I think we can get used to seeing this for the entire race. These guys just not letting up a bit. Behind then, Davis and Spees not really able to close up. Spees just seeming to lose off in a major way off the 4. That's the 2nd or 3rd lap in a row that he's done that, but he's now trying to push people up the track. We're going to keep with your leaders here as it looks like Proudfoot, as here we go with Spees, Shepard, and Davis.
Davis running 3rd, 4th place is Spees, 5th place is J.R. Shepard, and that might be 5th place going to Justin Morton now, who we see directly behind Spees, lurking up in the background on that top side. I won't be surprised if Morton will close that gap over these next few laps, especially with the line difference. Spees running the middle lane, that's not going to help him much.
Yeah, Spees getting super, super wiggly there in the middle of the corner. That middle line's just right on the rubbered-in track. As there you see Spees sliding up almost as if he's on the slider line trying to get something going, but I think that's going to open up No, he's going to be able to shut the door there to J.R. Shepard. That's going to keep everything nice and bottled up at the front of the field. Keep an eye there. They are still going side by side, these two teammates.
Advantage down the back straightaway by about a quarter of a car length, going to the 22 of Brandon Proudfoot. He's trying to get some type of an advantage, trying to use that inside lane, just that small bit of fresh inside lane as possible, and that will prove very successful here outside of turn number 4. But here comes Bobby Rafferty trying to fight back again, as well as the rest of the field. But now that the 22 is pretty much cleared and gone, he now has his preferred lane. Does he move up to the outside? He does not quite yet.
Rafferty on that last lap took a big hit off of the turn 4 wall. Really upset him. That's what let Proudfoot get up ahead. I thought for a second Chris Davis might have been able to capitalize there in P3, but not able to really push it. We're going to jump back here to Kenny Kibbe as he's running the high side on Brendan Myers. Whoa, what a pass for Kenny Kibbe.
The thing is, Kenny Kibbe started third after finishing first place in heat race number 3. That got him that third place position. He gets into the outside wall again, as does Myers behind him, but Kibbe, after that first lap, has not really much been able to recover after slowly dropping back. But now that he's starting to get his feet under him, get that car under control, he's starting to reel in everybody else, and he just might be able to salvage, possibly by the looks of this, a top 5, as now he's going to be moving on Justin Morton for 7th place.
And we're going to jump up to Chris Davis and Steven Spies now running side by side down the front stretch. They're going to dive into one. Spies taking the low line, Davis on the high line. Spies is going to get a little bit riding up the track, not as close as he wants to do. Tries to run a slide job, not enough. Davis still going to hold that outside line. He's going to have about a half a nose coming into turn 3. Davis is going to slide on a lot later on the power, able to keep it off on that wall. Spies now goes for the slide job, gets it done, but Davis comes back for the crossover.
A great switchback by Chris Davis, moves down to the inside just as Spies moves up to the outside to block that outside lane, and that preferred lane of Chris Davis on the exit. But, well, unfortunately for Steven Spies, he still has the 07 directly behind him, was momentarily inside him on the inside lane on the exit of turn number 2. But by the looks of this, off of turn number 4 once again, maybe all said and done, Davis might have to migrate to the outside lane, but he's definitely not doing so as we ride on board J.R. Shepard looking at this battle ahead of it.
Yeah, you see there Davis thought a little bit about trying to run a slide job on Rafferty through 1 and 2, but nothing doing there. Not on Rafferty, excuse me, on Steven Spies. Spies really making that high line work to perfection. Both cars getting up into the wall a little bit there. You can see Davis working in as J.R. Shepard starting to think about maybe making a move for himself up into P4.
Next time by, it will be 15 laps complete and 15 laps to go, the halfway point of this race. And this race is definitely not over, especially well for both first and third place at the moment, as well it's still continuously going to be Proudfoot and Rafferty trying to better each other here over the next few laps. But at the moment, it's going to be between Steven Spies and Chris Davis. Both drivers up front and both drivers here continuing to run their respective lanes. Davis knows he's got that power on the inside lane, but he just can't quite get hooked up just right.
No, I think Davis is really the only way he's going to be able to get by is exactly how Steven Spies did. Just throw a massive slide job and pray that it looks like that's going to be the way to make the pass here. So this may just be a little bit of treading water from Davis, just trying to hold back Steven Spies there, running a little bit of a lower line, trying to catch Davis out, and for the moment it worked. Spies now able to get a full car's length ahead, able to pull away a little bit coming into turn 3.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that Spies moved down to the inside lane, and I'm pretty sure, of course, that surprised the 07 of Chris Davis. That definitely helped him out, as up front they are side by side for the race lead, and right when I say that, well, they go down into turns 1 and 2. A bit stagnant as we continue to ride on board and just see it's tantalizing, I'm sure, for both of these two drivers, the 55 and the 07, to see Proudfoot and Rafferty going at it side by side, trying to better each other, trying to race each other, and slowing themselves down for the rest of the field. But, well, considering that third and fourth have been battling throughout this entire time, it may not be enough in these final just over almost 11 laps.
It has. And we're going to jump back here. This is the battle for 6th place between John Hine and Kenny Kibbe. That's Kibbe in the 14 trying to drive down to the low side. Hine sending on a slide job there out to the outside. Going to ride the wall just a little bit. It looks like advantage Kibbe down the straight, but Hine's able to fight back with the momentum. Hine's going to lead across the line. That is once again the battle for P6.
And that's going to be a very key thing here for the point standings for John Hine especially, as 6th place would get 55 points, 52 points if he finished in 7th place. But all enough, regardless, with this race alone, not only throughout the night with points being collected, but with just this race alone, it could be enough for Bobby Rafferty to continue to extend that points lead by roughly about 20 points, give or take a few. But regardless, it's going to be something to very much keep an eye on with the battle between these two.
Very much so, as you see Kibbe here really just trying absolutely anything he can do to try to get by Hine, but Hine just able to run that slider line around 3 and 4 to absolute perfection and keep himself in the lead of Kibbe and hold on to that 6th place, and also keep an eye on J.R. Shepard there right in front of him.
I'm going to be looking back up front now as Proudfoot has distanced himself between, well, himself and Bobby Rafferty, who continues to try and use alternative lines to that number 7 machine. But still, P1 and P2 for these teammates, and I'm pretty sure for Brandon Proudfoot, he's just hoping and just continuously watching the laps, watching them tick down lower, lower, and lower, because he hasn't been in this position relatively since Eldora, so he wants to get this win once again on shore, but Rafferty wants to extend his points lead as much as possible.
And it looks like as they cross the line with 7 to go here, this is going to be advantage Proudfoot. He's got about, I would say, 6 car lengths ahead of him there, really starting to pull away down the straights.
A great job to keep the onboard shot with Bobby Rafferty, because he went up to the top side. He's trying to figure out any different line to use. Rafferty hasn't really been on the same consistent line for the past 2 laps, and that may be what cost him just enough again, unfortunately for Rafferty. He's trying to figure out, what line do I use? Do I use the inside? Do I use the outside? What is the best line?
And there's nothing more frustrating than that as you now jump onto an outboard shot of Bobby Rafferty. You see him there dinking across the wall just a little bit, trying to go. Now he's going to dive down to the inside, see if that can pick him up a little bit of speed, get his left front tire down onto that part with a little bit of grip. As there you see him behind that, Steven Speed still trying to make something work on Chris Davis, doing anything at all to make happen here. This is one of the closer battles on track right now.
5 laps to go, the battle for the final spot on the podium position. Can Steven Spees get another podium position after he got his win last week at Fairbury? Chris Davis, of course, has something to say against that, and he's saying, well, I would, but I'd rather have this podium position, as well as they make contact nearly over-rotating. That's the 2nd time, I believe, that they have just made a little bit of contact. Spees had definitely stuck his nose in there, and he was just able to get it, but unfortunately he was so sideways he couldn't carry that momentum off on the inside.
Great driving there from the pair of them both, and also you see just what happens when this track really starts to deteriorate, where you put that power down on corner exit. They're going to come together again. Who able to keep it together? Oh my goodness, and J.R. Shepard there behind them has got to be just licking his lips going, guys, come on, do that one more time. I want this podium.
And I'm pretty sure that Steven Speed is definitely starting to get, of course, very much frustrated. He was there on the inside lane 2 laps in a row, and unfortunately he just couldn't get enough to stick. But he's definitely trying his hardest, and he's doing his absolute best with these final 2 laps now.
He's really trying it, but now he's got to be driving with his rear view mirrors as Shepard has really closed the gap there. You see Davis, Spees, Shepard, 1, 2, 3. They're in your shot as they go down the back stretch now, as Brandon Proudfoot's going to cross the line here for 1 lap to go.
It has been quite some time since we've seen the 22 in a podium position, as he takes the white flag this time by. The last time he got a win was nearly, just about actually, a month and a half ago, September 25th at Eldora. Halfway, half a lap remains for that 22 of Brandon Proudfoot. He is going to be able to get a 2nd win this season if he can just get it cleanly through turn 4, and he does so. Short blast down the straightaway. Brendan Proudfoot is back in victory lane here in the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series. Second place, Bobby Rafferty. Third place, Chris Davis. But it's a great job, and I'm sure sweet relief for Brendan Proudfoot to get a second win this season.
Really amazing drive there from Proudfoot and Rafferty, his teammate, just giving us some both great battles. Is there you see a little love bump there between teammates. That's Rafferty just saying congratulations, buddy. Great run there from Brandon Proudfoot.
And oh, by the way, the last time these two were on podium was in the reverse order, with Proudfoot first, Rafferty second. And well, it was a great job and sweet relief. So we will be back momentarily with your post-race interviews of the top three. And well, stay tuned because you'll see the next upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to the virtual Williams Grove Speedway, where we had an entire tonight caution-free event, and it definitely produced incredible racing. And all the results are right here up on your screen. Finishing in the first place position is Brendan Proudfoot, the first time since Eldora. Bobby Rafferty, second place, the first time those two have been on the podium since Knoxville. Chris Davis finishes in third place after getting by a very defiant Steven Spees. J.R. Shepard finishes in fifth place. John Hines, sixth. Seventh place, Justin Morton. Kenny Kibbe, unfortunately, finishing eighth after sliding back on the opening lap. Brendan Myers will finish in seventh place, and eighth and 10th place will be Aiden Young.
Right behind Aiden Young, continuing their battle from the B main, was Robbie Robinson in 11th place, followed by John Wilson and Bobby Hayes. Daniel Vaught coming home in 14th, followed by Joe Segala and Austin Belke, the last of your finishers, in 16th place.
Everyone finishing on the lead lap, everyone finishing. It's absolutely incredible. Caution free as well. And we talked to someone that we haven't really talked to all that often this season. Brendan Proudfoot, your race winner here for tonight's second win of the season, I believe third podium as well. And well, I'm pretty sure it's just sweet relief for you once again, isn't it, Brendan?
Yeah, this is my my favorite place to come here, even more so in a closed atmosphere in a league like this, where you have a lot of respect, and think it goes to show here how we went caution free, where a lot of other places you're having 6, 7, 8 cautions here.
And it's absolutely incredible performance as well. So coming into tonight with the track state, setting the fast lap times as well, and a little bit of alternating lines, which line did you really think really helped you out the best?
I mean, in the end there, obviously, I have to say the top side, because that's where I eventually got the edge on Bobby there. But my preferred line, as you've seen early on there, is right along the bottom, and I'll run that until someone passes me. going on the high side.
Well, we are going to go ahead and give you the floor for those drivers that you like to give a shout out to, or the sponsors that you like to give a shout out to.
Of course, Fistful of Bourbon, Winners Get Whiskey, General Tire, Polaris RZR, Vision Wheel, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish, JSP XTV Axles, Gimson Performance, Acronis, Saint Racing Fabrication, 07 Designs, Chris Leone Motorsport Drop, Grandpat, Mom, Sister, Girlfriend, Downstairs, John for hosting tonight, as we did not have our main guy here this evening, and of course you guys for doing the broadcast.
Well, thank you for your time. Congratulations on your win once again. We hope to talk to you next week at Limaland.
Yep, see you guys then.
That is the 22 Brendan Proudfoot. We'll pass it over to DJ Clark, who is possibly standing by with Bobby Rafferty. And in fact, we might be going with Bobby Rafferty momentarily. So we'll go ahead and see if Clark can catch up with Davis. And in fact, here he is with Rafferty.
And there's Bobby. Bobby, we are not used to seeing you on the second step of the podium, but you put on one heck of a battle there in about the first half of the race with your teammates. Talk us through that run, man.
One of these days I'll beat him here. Brandon is absolutely the Williams Grove master. So, I gave it my best shot, and what can I say? I got beat by one of the best guys in the entire sim at this track. Brandon holds a lot of world records at this place in a lot of different cars. So I got to actually give a thank you to him, because he was coaching me a little bit during the heat and warm-ups and stuff. And things to do, and that's actually the best I've ever run here lap time wise, especially on this track state. So good points night. We extend our points lead again. Brandon gets the win. Hey, winners get whiskey, man. It was a damn good night.
Can't disagree with that. Limaland next week, maybe coming back into your wheelhouse a little bit.
Yeah, I do. I can't say I enjoy Limaland, but I seem to run very, very well there. So we'll see how it goes. At this point, I've got a pretty substantial point lead, but with no drop weeks, I still have to be points racing and be smart here. But hopefully after, their misfortune last week and then running second here tonight, hopefully we can get back to our winning ways.
Well, we hope you put on just as good of a show. And Bobby, you of course know the drill. Who do you got to shout out tonight?
I got to, of course, give a shout out to Fistful of Bourbon, the Motorsports Drop, Jim Beaver eSports, 07 Designs, SimRacing Racing Fabrication, and my son just woke up in the crib behind me, as you guys can hear. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut this short with you guys. Y'all have a good night.
You too, Bobby, and congratulations again. And now Gary is with our third place finisher, Chris Davis.
Yeah, here with the driver of the 07, who was in a incredible battle with Steven Speeds throughout the night. Didn't let they made a little bit of contact. They didn't let each other really use their preferred lanes at some points. But well, Davis, you definitely proved successful in the end.
Yeah, thanks. I think I lost about 5 pounds sweating there, trying to run the bottom. It's so hard not to spin your tires on the slick here, but I had a lot of fun.
Not only spinning tires, but as well as just looking at that the inevitable lurking of that the inside wall and those tires as well. But you did a incredible job at fending off Speeds. With you, both of you were swapping lanes occasionally. And well, which lane did you feel really helped you out the best, especially when battling with somebody else and having J.R. Shepard just lurking in the background?
Yeah, exactly. Last Friday I talked about how I tend to be someone who likes the bottom. I like that gutter lane. It works for me. Last Friday, I feel bad. There's a couple of people that I bumped harder than I would like to have. I kind of ruined Bobby's night last Friday. I feel bad about that. And hit J.R. Shepard pretty hard last Friday as well. And so I feel bad about those two. But tonight I was able to keep it clean, keep it down low, not rub anyone hard. And got the podium. And against this crew, there's not much more that one can really want. I mean, Bobby Rafferty and Brendan Proudfoot up front, they just set the pace, and they are ridiculously fast every week.
That's an absolutely incredible race as well. Going into Limaland for next week, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, last season I figured some things out at Lima Land. Maybe people know or don't know, and if they don't know, hopefully that'll help me out. I'm better on the shorter tracks than the longer tracks for some reason. Maybe it's just from my experience in real life growing up. But I look forward to those short tracks. That's what I like the best.
Before we go ahead and let you go, we're going to go ahead and give you the floor to shout out whoever you would like.
Yeah, for tonight, I got to thank Firefly Hollow Brewing out of Bristol, Connecticut. Get lit, but responsibly. I want to thank Utz, Get Snacking. And other than that, I want to thank Global Sim Racing Channel. You guys, incredible job every single episode that you guys run. I'm now watching things that I haven't watched in the past, racing that hadn't previously been interested in. You guys keep the attention and do a phenomenal job promoting events. Of course, the Cruise Shop and everything that they do, Jim Beaver eSports, everything that they do. And look forward to more Friday nights. Thank you guys so much. It's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for your time, and we hope to talk to you again next week at Lima Land.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that wraps up our post-race interviews, and now we go ahead and wrap up the broadcast. We did ask, remember, a question at the top of the show if Rafferty would be able to get another win here tonight, and of course, as we've seen, the answer was, unfortunately for him, no, but he was still able to pull off a second-place finish. And of course, we'd like to give thanks of our own to Jim Beaver Esports, who continue to sponsor tonight's heat races. And remember that you can follow the team at JimBeaverEsports.com or over on Facebook, Twitter, and even Instagram to keep up with their drivers in iRacing World Championships, private leagues, and more. As always, another more thanks to the Cruise Shop, who continue their sponsorship as well, and you can contact them at 260-755-6125 or visit thecruiseshopfw.com. Remember that they are dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams, one destination at a time. Thanks to the Bootleg Racing League for having us continue the coverage of not only the Dirt Street Stock series, as well as many of their other series here on the GSRC. You can also see the companies that provide the software and hardware that allow us to do these broadcasts listed here on your screen. We'd like to give additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our incredible music. If you're interested in having her provide some of her great work to you, you can contact her at the link in the description below. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races that aren't currently going by up on screen, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media, varying from Twitter, which is at GSR Channel. Our Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and our Instagram is at GSRC_Graham. Finally, if you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. You can also follow the link in the description below. Don't forget to hit that bright red subscribe button as well as the notification bell, and make sure to set your preference to all so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. If the button is already gray, we're glad that you're enjoying our content, and we thank you for your continued support. As we wrap up from the virtual Williams Grove Speedway, we'd like to congratulate Brandon Proudfoot on his win for tonight. Next week, we head to Lima Land. On behalf of the team today, co-commentator DJ Clark, director Sean Ambrose, and camera provider Dougie Beard, I'm Gary Weaver, and we thank you for tuning in to the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.